Here's another important video from the Personal Defense Network. So Jay, as you mentioned, the door knob is really just there to latch the door, to allow people to come and go. Security is going to start where? With the deadbolt?
With the deadbolt. It mounts above the lock. Most doors nowadays are coming with a pre-drilled hole, like the example behind us. And it, just like the lock sets, they vary in quality.
Let's take a look and see what we've got, starting with what I've got in front of me here.
Okay, this is the lower end, and what you'll notice about that is the small screws that hold it to the door. The difference between those and a higher end,
significant difference.
Huge difference. And these will break. They're a real light metal.
So when this is actually attached to the door, we're going to have this piece here on the outside. This is going to be on the inside of the door?
Correct.
And you're saying that a little pounding, a little hammering is going to just snap all this?
Correct. It would take very little to get, it's false security. It'd take very little to get in that deadbolt.
Okay. And does it matter then what's happening with the throw once that's broken off?
What happens is the deadbolt will be still locked in the frame, and just with all that going, just a simple turn of a screwdriver will retract the bolt.
Okay. So if someone were just to come up to your house to vandalize it and beat the front end of this off, technically the door is still locked, but if they have any creativity at all, they're going to be able to turn that.
It's not slowing them down much.
Okay. And this is the strike plate for this device?
Yeah, this is the strike plate, yes. And if you notice, it's just 3/4 inch screws. Very small, just into the frame of the door, not into the back 2x4 structure.
So that's not actually going to be giving much support anyway?
No, if they even fooled with that, if they just kicked the door in, this would give.
Okay. Now, a strike plate like this, to me, as a consumer, I look at this and I say, wow, this must really be a significant upgrade.
Well, you can think that with the packaging and all at the home centers, but the screws are not very good. They're still short. The ones that are long are very cheap metal. They will snap in a heartbeat.
Okay, so it's not just the length to tie into the structure of the door, to try into the structure of the frame, to go into those 2x4s. The length isn't enough?
No, it's got to be a good solid screw. Again, a higher grade one would be a good, steel screw.
Okay, so rather than go with these screws, go with the actual steel screw, because again, it's not just tying into the wood, but it's actually what that connection is made of.
Correct.
So have you seen situations where these types of screws that the consumer thought they were upgrading were just sheared off?
I've seen them snap off just putting the strike plate on.
Okay, so we definitely don't want to rely on just a long screw. We want to make sure that we have as heavy a screw as possible for the application.
Correct.
Great. Well, let's move down the line and look at something that might be an upgrade from what we'd see in the home center.
Yeah, what you want in a deadbolt is a heavy bolt, and if you notice the difference in weight on those two, significant weight.
3 times as heavy.
The bolt diameter is bigger. Most of the time the throws are the same, so even with the cheap deadbolt you will get a 1-inch throw. That's the length of the throw into the frame. I don't know if I can throw that, but so there's your 1-inch throw, and then on this one it's just a lighter bolt. You can.
And is that pot metal again?
That is pot metal.
Okay, and this is going to be steel?
This is steel, and it has a roller pin inside, so if anybody even tried to cut it, the blade would roll.
I see. So this has a defensive mechanism built in to someone who's maybe jammed the Sawzall between the door and the frame?
Right.
Got it.
So don't be fooled by just the length of the throw. Heavier deadbolt. The cylinder, you notice, is solid. This one is solid brass, and it has a taper to it. That prevents anybody from grabbing it with any wrench or pipe wrench or channel grips or anything like that. If they were to get a bite, it would spin.
Now this one here, the lower end, also is tapered and also spins, but significant difference. If you pop that one off, this is just a hollow shell.
Right.
And that's actually a solid piece?
It is solid, and that's got a flat edge on it. You could get a grip on that. There's a significant difference in the taper.
Sure, this could be crushed down onto
Right.
here, whereas this
Right.
piece here, which is solid, you're just not going to get into that.
You're not.
And even if someone were to get very exotic and drill into it and something like that. It's just going to spin
They're
right
not-
around
yeah,
this.
and they're not going to take the time to do that. This is going to be a deterrent just for anybody that knows, the quality of that lock.
I think that's another important point. We're going to talk about doors and talk about the frames and the structure that surround the lock. If you have the world's greatest lock and a hollow core door, somebody's going to punch through the door with a sledgehammer and get through anyway.
Yes, most of your new houses are coming with steel doors now, but if you have an older home, I've seen them just the veneer. You can punch right through them.
Okay, so let's keep talking about this deadbolt, this upgrade.
Well, one other thing with the collar of this, it's got a shoulder to it, so if somebody knew they couldn't put pressure on the ring, they would try beating it off. This collar rests up in the hole and prevents them just knocking the lock completely off.
So that's actually going to be reinforced by the steel on the door.
On the door, and also by the mounting screws. The difference between these mounting screws, the thickness of them, as opposed to those, these will hold up. This has its own little secure ring before you attach the decorative thumb turn.
Got it.
So it's just pulling the door, sandwiching the door tight. Everything's just ready to be attacked.
Well, let's talk about this thumb turn. I can remember seeing a lot of different homes, especially older homes, having keys on both sides. Is that more secure, or what's with that application?
We tend to shy away from that. In the old days, the single pane glass was easily broken, and people were reaching in and unlocking the doors. Not too many people had burglar alarms to sound that entry, to alert you. With the tempered safety glass, we've seen own customers locked out of their house and not able to bust the glass even outside using their own landscape rocks. So we feel better with the thumb turn for fire safety to give an exit.
Okay, so this is actually there for the safety of the occupants of the house to be able to get to it quickly and
Right, because it's just as important, fire safety.
Makes sense.
They also do a collar. A while back, they were ice picking locks. They were coming in with a drill above your expensive lock and drilling through your door and ice picking the bolt back. So this little protective shield deflects the drill bit.
Okay, so if this were in here where it's
there
supposed
like
to
that,
be, we then have a protective shield for someone that's actually trying to tamper with this around that big brass
the bolt.
collar.
Yes. You don't see it as much. It was, hot there for a while, but you don't see too much of it. But everybody, is guarding against it, that, the higher end locks are. So
again, price point, we go from what you call builder grade at the home center to something that you would consider entry level probably?
We consider this, higher end for the residential setting.
Okay, and what would the difference there be?
Price-wise, you're looking at about $19 compared to about $100.
Okay, so again, we're going to look at 4 to 5 times the amount, but again, this is going to last forever and offer a lot more time delay and deterrent for the person who is interested in getting into your home.
Yeah, and what we tell people is to add up the total price of all your doors going with the best, and then add that up against the first item they would grab coming in your house.
Oh, that's great. So if we have just 3 entries, say we have a garage entry door, and we have a back door, and we have a front door, we're going to spend $400 on that, but the PlayStation costs us $400 if they run out the back door with it.
Right, and you shop everything else that you're trying to protect. Why not shop the locks,
Makes sense. Now, you've got the high end over there to your left. Let's talk about that.
Yes, the high end starts getting into some of the same features as the Schlage lock there. This Medico lock is also key protection. You cannot duplicate the keys. Can't go down to the hardware store and get these. This lock has the most popular keyway in the country, millions of them. This one, the key is cut on angles. It uses a different locking mechanism. It can't be picked, can't be drilled. This particular lock, they put hardened steel plates protecting the keyway. Your battery drills are so readily available now. Every burglar has a battery drill. Come in, drill the cylinder. They cannot drill the cylinder. They can't ice pick it. This has the same protection as the Schlage for the going above the cylinder. And they also go as far as dropping hardened ball bearings in these holes to prevent you drilling out these screws. And look at the difference between those screws and the ones on your first lock there.
Yeah, that's a world of difference. I mean, even if something as light as a screw, you can still feel the heft and the strength there.
It's all the difference in the world. This again's tapered. It's a shouldered, and you can feel the weight of that lock.
Oh, that's definitely significant.
Solid.
So when we look at this is obviously a professional grade application lock. Is this something that you would still see some residential application for?
Yes, I mean we recommend the best first, and then go down as far as the price point. Some people that want the best, you're going to go with the Medico, and they've got some great finishes and they look fine on homes.
Okay, so this is, you're not going to bump pick this?
No, this is not going to be the bump lock. It's not going to be effective on that. That uses a sidebar as well as the pins on that, so it won't, the bump lock won't work on that.
So we've gone through the better and best lock options, but we also need to talk about the strike plates, because there's a big difference with what's going on over here versus our initial starting strike plate.
Correct. You could take the Medico, your highest end lock, and put it on the door, and if you put this on the frame, you're not gaining any security. So what they've done is beefed up the strike plate with longer screws, again made of good metal, and going past your 3/4 inch door frame, recessing into the 2x4 structure of the house.
And this is actually reinforced. There's not just one piece of metal like there was here. There's actually a couple pieces of metal here?
Correct. You have a decorative face plate that holds the regular screws to clean it up. You have the little decorative tub to keep debris and all out of the deadbolt hole here. And then behind it, you have the security strike.
Okay, so are we concerned about these screws as part of the structural integrity, or are we really just knowing that the throw is engaging here?
Yes, they're not going to do much for you. They're just holding the decorative plate on.
Got it. And then we move up. This is a plastic tub here. We move
Correct.
up to the Medico.
Medico does the tub as the reinforcement strike. They'll put the screws through the holes here out the back and secure it to the studs that way. And then you got a full metal tub there.
So they're getting even more length into the studs behind the frame.
Correct.
Of the door. Excellent. And I'm sure there's a decorative plate that goes with that.
Yes, that goes over top there.
Excellent. So when it comes to our security, our first thing we're going to look at with the actual door is going to be the deadbolt. We're going to take the knob for granted. It's there. It provides access, keeps the door shut as we're going in and out.
Right.
But this is really where security starts.
Right. Key it the same for convenience. Keep that in mind. Don't buy 2 different brands. And then go with the good deadbolt above the lock.
Great. So again, if we want to go with the best deadbolt, there's no reason not to have a similar level on the doorknob. Spend the money, get the quality, do the right thing. That way you can have one key that operates both the doorknob and the door deadbolt, and that's going to be more convenient, encourage you to actually use the facilities the way they should, use the hardware you've put in place to make yourself and your family safer. Check out more videos just like this one at the Personal Defense Network.